Welcome, dear dreamer, to Sleepy Tales of the World. Here, every story is told softly, like a gentle lullaby for your mind. Each tale is designed to help you release the weight of the day, to ease into rest, and to drift toward sleep with calm imagination as your guide. Tonight, we follow the journey of a boy from a small island, a boy who chased a ball through the narrow streets of Madeira, barefoot and determined, a boy who would grow into one of the greatest athletes the world has ever known. This is not the story of goals, trophies, or fame. This is the quiet story beneath it all, a story of dreams, sacrifice, and unshakable discipline. So find your place of comfort, rest your head, slow your breathing, and let the rhythm of this tale carry you. For tonight, you will drift into the sleep story of Cristiano Ronaldo, Moon and Star. Cristiano Ronaldo dos Santos Aveiro was born on February 5th, 1985, on the island of Madeira, Portugal. Madeira was small, surrounded by the endless Atlantic Ocean, with quiet streets, steep hills, and homes pressed close together, like family. Life there was simple, and for Cristiano, it began humbly. His family lived in a modest home, crowded, with little space, but filled with love and resilience. His father, Jose, worked as a gardener and also helped part-time at a local football club. His mother, Maria Dolores, cared deeply for her children, working hard to keep the family afloat. Money was scarce, but Cristiano's world was never empty. From the earliest days, he carried a ball with him everywhere he went. Sometimes it was a real ball, sometimes only a bundle of cloth. But to Cristiano, it was always the same, an endless invitation to play. The narrow streets of Madeira became his training ground. Barefoot, with the pavement rough beneath his feet, he kicked the ball against walls, chased it up hills, and dribbled past friends in endless games. The laughter of children filled the air, but for Cristiano, there was something different. An intensity, a determination, even as a boy. His family noticed it. When most children grew tired, Cristiano kept going. He ran faster, practiced longer, and played with a focus that was unusual for his age. Neighbors would sometimes pause to watch. The skinny boy with bright eyes and restless energy, always chasing the ball as though nothing else existed. But even in this quiet childhood, there were struggles. The family often worried about bills, about food, about how to manage in a world that seemed uncertain. Cristiano felt this, but instead of breaking his spirit, it gave him purpose. He dreamed not only of playing the game he loved, but of lifting his family from hardship. At night, when the streets grew silent, Cristiano would sometimes lie in bed and imagine himself in great stadiums. Crowds roaring, lights shining, a ball at his feet. These were not idle fantasies. They were visions he carried like fuel. And so, even as a boy in Madeira, Cristiano began shaping himself. Through endless practice, through the echo of the ball against the walls, through sweat and persistence, the foundation of a legend was quietly being built. By the time Cristiano was 12, his talent had already outgrown the narrow streets of Madeira. Coaches and scouts whispered about his speed, his quick feet, and his fierce determination. He wasn't just a boy who loved the game. He was something more. At 12 years old, Cristiano faced a decision that would change his life forever. He was offered the chance to join the Academy of Sporting Lisbon, one of Portugal's most respected football clubs, but it meant leaving behind his island, his family, and everything familiar. For a boy so young, the thought of leaving home was heavy. His mother wept at the idea, and Cristiano himself felt torn, but his dream was stronger than his fear. And so, with courage in his heart, he boarded a plane for Lisbon, a journey from the quiet comfort of Madeira to the bustling streets of the capital city. The transition was not easy. In Lisbon, Cristiano lived in a dormitory with other young players. The rooms were small, the food plain, and the days long. He missed his mother's cooking, the laughter of his siblings, the sea air of Madeira. There were nights he cried silently in his bed, feeling the ache of homesickness. But when morning came, the ball was waiting, and for Cristiano, the ball was everything. Training at Sporting Lisbon was demanding. The coaches were strict, and the players were all skilled. Cristiano had to prove himself daily. He trained harder than anyone else, staying after practice to work on his dribbling, his shooting, his strength. While others rested, Cristiano pushed himself further. The coaches began to notice. They saw the hunger in his eyes, the refusal to quit. Even when he was mocked for his accent or teased for being skinny, Cristiano responded not with words but with effort. On the field, he showed flashes of brilliance. His speed was electric, his footwork dazzling. He danced past defenders, his confidence growing with each game. Soon, he was not just another academy player. He was the boy people whispered about, but his success did not come without sacrifice. Cristiano's life was football, and only football. While other children enjoyed weekends, Cristiano trained. While others played casually, Cristiano studied the game. Every move, every angle, every possibility. In his heart, he carried the memory of his family back in Madeira. He carried the weight of their sacrifices and the dream of giving them a better life. Every sprint, every kick, every drop of sweat was fueled by love and determination. By the age of 16, Cristiano had already risen through Sporting Lisbon's ranks. He was no longer just the homesick boy from Madeira. He was a young star in the making, poised to step into the wider world. And though he was still just beginning, his dream was no longer a distant vision. It was taking shape, like a sunrise, slowly breaking across the horizon. At the age of 18, Cristiano Ronaldo's life changed forever. Sporting Lisbon had given him a stage, but fate was about to open a much larger door. In the summer of 2003, Manchester United visited Portugal for a friendly match. Cristiano played with brilliance that night. His speed electrified the field, his footwork dazzled defenders, and his confidence seemed to light up the stadium. Among those watching from the stands was Sir Alex Ferguson, the legendary manager of Manchester United. Ferguson saw something in the young winger from Madeira, not just talent, but hunger, fearlessness, and the spark of greatness. Within weeks, Cristiano Ronaldo signed with Manchester United. At just 18 years old, he left his home country behind and stepped into the bright lights of the Premier League. Life in Manchester was not simple. The weather was cold, the skies often gray, and the culture unfamiliar. Cristiano struggled with English, and sometimes with loneliness. His style of play, full of stepovers and flair, drew both admiration and criticism. Some opponents mocked him, Some fans doubted him, but Cristiano responded the only way he knew how, with relentless work. He spent extra hours in the gym, building strength. He stayed on the training ground after practice, repeating drills until the movements felt like second nature. Day after day, he shaped himself, not just into a good player, but into an unstoppable one. His teammates noticed his obsession. While others relaxed after training, Cristiano lifted weights, ran sprints, and practiced free kicks over and over, chasing perfection. Discipline became his trademark, and improvement his constant companion. On the pitch, his growth was undeniable. He scored goals that left crowds gasping, drove past defenders with astonishing speed, and showed a confidence rare for his age. His performances began to turn doubters into believers. With Manchester United, Cristiano won trophies, including the FA Cup and the Premier League title. He learned under Sir Alex Ferguson's guidance, who treated him not just as a player, but as a son. Ferguson pushed him, challenged him, and taught him that greatness required not just talent, but maturity and focus. By the age of 23, Cristiano had become one of the brightest stars in football. In 2008, he helped lead Manchester United to Champions League glory, scoring crucial goals and showing the world that he was more than just a young prodigy. He was a rising legend. But even as he lifted trophies, Cristiano's eyes were fixed on new horizons. His ambition was boundless. The boy from Madeira was ready for the greatest stage of all, a stage where his name would echo across the globe. And so, with his heart full of determination, Cristiano prepared for the next chapter, his move to Real Madrid, where his discipline and dreams would meet the challenge of history. In the summer of 2009, Cristiano Ronaldo made a move that would change football history. Real Madrid signed him for a world record transfer fee. It was a number so high, so staggering, that many doubted whether any player could live up to it. But Cristiano did not fear the weight of expectation. He welcomed it. For him, pressure was not a burden, it was fuel. Arriving in Madrid, he stepped into the Santiago Bernabeu, a stadium filled with history where legends had been born. The stands stretched high into the sky, and the fans' voices echoed with anticipation. Cristiano was not just joining a club, he was stepping into a legacy. His early days were not without challenges. The Spanish league was different, the spotlight brighter, the expectations greater. Every move he made was watched, analyzed, criticized. But just as he had done in Madeira and in Manchester, Cristiano turned doubt into discipline. Day after day, he trained relentlessly. His teammates saw his obsession. Extra sprints, extra shots, extra hours in the gym. While others ended practice, Cristiano stayed behind, pushing his limits further. His body became stronger, his skills sharper, his determination unshakable. Soon, his brilliance began to shine. He scored goals with power and precision, each one celebrated by the thunder of Madrid's fans. He leapt higher than defenders, his headers fierce and unstoppable. He struck free kicks with a style that bent the ball like magic, sending it curling into the net. And then came the rivalry. Across Spain, in Barcelona, another legend was rising, Lionel Messi. For nearly a decade, the two pushed each other to new heights. Every week, the world watched as Cristiano and Messi rewrote what was possible in football. Cristiano thrived in the challenge, He scored hat tricks, lifted trophies, and broke records once thought untouchable. He became the fastest player in Real Madrid's history to reach 100 goals. He led the club to Champions League victories, not once, but multiple times. In those nights under the bright European lights, he showed his greatest form, calm under pressure, driven by discipline, unshaken by fear. The fans of Madrid adored him. They waved flags with his name, sang songs that echoed through the stadium, and called him a Galactico, a star among stars. But behind the glory was always the same boy from Madeira. Cristiano never forgot the streets where he learned to play barefoot. He never forgot his family's sacrifices. Even as the world crowned him a champion, he kept training harder than anyone else. Success did not soften him, it sharpened him. By the time he left Madrid in 2018, Cristiano had scored more than 400 goals for the club. He had lifted 4 Champions League trophies, won Ballon d'Or awards, and carved his name into the history of football forever. In Madrid, Cristiano Ronaldo became not just a player, but a symbol of greatness, a champion whose story was written with discipline, sacrifice, and an endless hunger to be better. Even as the years passed, Cristiano Ronaldo's fire did not fade. If anything, his determination only deepened. After nearly a decade in Madrid, he began a new chapter with Juventus in Italy. In Turin, the expectations were high, but Cristiano carried them as he always had, with quiet confidence and relentless discipline. He scored goals in Italy just as he had in Spain and England, reminding the world that greatness was not tied to one club or one league, but to the spirit of the player himself. And yet, even with all his club achievements, there was one dream that lived deepest in his heart: his country, Portugal. For years, he had carried the weight of a small nation's hope on his shoulders, and in 2016, that dream came true. At the European Championship final, Portugal faced France. Cristiano began the match, but after an early injury, he was forced to leave the pitch. Tears filled his eyes as he watched from the sidelines. But even then, he did not give in to despair. He urged his teammates forward, cheering, guiding, leading with his voice. When the final whistle blew, Portugal had won. Cristiano lifted the trophy high into the air, a symbol not only of victory, but of resilience, sacrifice, and national pride. In the years that followed, his journey took him back to Manchester United, and then onward to Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia. Wherever he went, he brought with him the same hunger, the same dedication, the same relentless pursuit of excellence. Off the field, Cristiano built a life as a father and philanthropist. He gave generously to hospitals and children in need. He spent time with his family, cherishing the role of being not just a player, but a parent, a son, a man who had come from humble beginnings. His legacy became more than goals and trophies. It became a story of discipline, of waking early, training harder, eating cleaner, and never allowing excuses to take root. He often said, "Talent without working hard is nothing," and his life was proof of that truth. For the boy who once played barefoot in the streets of Madeira, football had become a bridge to the world. Through it, he lifted his family, inspired millions, and showed what is possible when dreamers refuse to quit. As his career stretched across decades, Cristiano Ronaldo's story became timeless. A story not just of goals scored, but of persistence, belief, and the courage to chase greatness no matter the odds. And so tonight, as you drift deeper into rest, let the story of Cristiano Ronaldo remind you that greatness is not born in comfort, but in persistence. That dreams are not distant stars, but steps we take each day. Close your eyes now, breathe softly, and let these words settle within you. For in Ronaldo's journey, there is a gentle truth. Your dreams, too, can be reached with discipline, courage, and the heart to never give up.